I think we all agree on this panel that we need to take steps to protect the environment. The question is balance, and the question is the economy. What's the impact on jobs in particular? And our concern in Ohio, of course, is that we are a state that is dependent on coal for our electricity. About 70% of our electricity comes from coal. We also mine coal, we move coal, and we see in a state that's, depends greatly on the coal industry for jobs that this will have an impact that will be very negative on jobs and on production. Your Office of Surface Mining has said the rule is going to cost the industry millions of dollars, but also decrease coal production by 1.9 million tons. You say it's going to cost between 41 and 590 jobs annually. Mr. Quinn's got an analysis that shows it's going to result in 40,000 to 78,000 coal miners losing their jobs. That's a pretty big disparity. But even with the DOE estimate, we see the impact on the economy. So I'd just ask you this, how did you estimate your cost on jobs and energy production, and why do your figures differ so dramatically from studies done by other independent sources?
Senator, thank you for the question. The way we handled the analysis is we engaged a series of experts as consultants to assist us with doing the work. I will take the opportunity to take issue with Mr. Quinn's characterization of our analysis as using hypothetical mines. We developed models based actually on input from the states that we needed to look at regional differences. And so we developed model mines to help support the analysis and look at what the various provisions of the rule might do and how it might change and affect mines that were essentially standard, recognizing that every mine is different in, even in each state, all the mines are a little bit different. So we tried to standardize this so that we could have an apples to apples comparison across the country. We used actual data to develop that information. So we looked at topography, geography, coal production by mine type, et cetera, in developing these analyses. That is the basis of the work that the experts have done. That work was peer-reviewed, as I mentioned before, by professors at, for example, the Colorado Department of Mines, et cetera. So these are robust economic analyses done by the consultants. I have had a chance to review the work that was done and issued by the National Mining Association yesterday. It appears as though that work assumes that longwall mining will stop as a result of the proposed rule. That is not the case, and therefore the numbers in their report are not accurate.
Well, I'd like to hear from Mr. Quinn on this. I've been with some of our miners over the last year. I've been at, Ohio has different kinds of mines, as you know, including longwall, and we are. I was down 300 feet below with some miners recently and talking to them about the impact of this rule. And I would tell you, I don't know about your model mines, but on the real mines, there's a deep concern and a concern about what's going to happen to them, their families, their communities, and areas of our state that already have relatively high unemployment. But Mr. Quinn, maybe you could talk about why there's such a disparity. Well,
I think you hit it right on the head, Senator. Actually, their report does say it's hypothetical mines. Yes, they're modeled. The 13 models, I believe, our studies based on 36 actual real mines operating, going to the mines, taking the provisions, and then a range of different applications from the least burdensome to potentially the most burdensome. So that's why you see a range in our numbers on impacts on employment and impacts on value, loss in production, and sterilized reserves. I will also say that I am confident in this study. I take comfort in our past studies. When the EPA Mercury rule came out, EPA said it would only retire 5 gigawatts of power. We had an independent analysis done. It said 55 gigawatts. We were actually low, and the Department of Energy says it's going to be 60,000 megawatts of power taken off. So we're not prone to just overestimate for the sake of overestimating. I just think that the regulatory accounting on cost and benefits at the government level of late has been very wanting and has proven to be very wanting as well.
Yeah, yeah, we don't have a great track record, do we? And not looking at the cumulative effect. The other thing that concerns me about this rule is the lack of coordination with Ohio. And I know a number of states have raised this. Probably you've heard this today, but basically we feel like we were left in the dark, you know, for a period of 4+ years until the rule came out. And that lack of communication with the operating agencies makes it very difficult, you know, for these states. They've challenged the proposed rule in part because some of the definitions are unworkable, because they believe that it superseded some of the state's regulatory authority. So my question to you this morning, Secretary Schneider, is do you intend to work with the states to ensure that the rule provides the states with adequate flexibility and jurisdiction to be able to implement and enforce this rule?
Yes, I am, Senator.
Are you working with my state of Ohio?
I would like to.
We'd like you to also. Look, my time's expired, and again, we look at this as another example of where the overreach is causing more problems for our economy and specifically jobs and electricity costs in Ohio than it needs to if it was done in a way that focused on the costs and the benefits, and that's our concern with this. And even your own analysis does show, you know, significant decrease in coal production and jobs lost and compliance costs, and we just need to be sure we're using the right figures and that we're approaching this in a smart way. Thank you, Madam Chair.